What's going on, guys? Chris here with 4K Motoring, back with you today. And today I have a question for everybody watching. And the question we're going to answer is the C5 Corvette the performance bargain of the 2020s? For those of you that have been following along with the channel, you guys know obviously that's not the stock exhaust for this car, but the motor is largely stock. It's got long tube headers and a tune, but otherwise this is the base model C5 Corvette. It's a 2001 model, which is slightly upgraded and kind of in that sweet spot of C5 Corvettes if you're not familiar. The 2001 and 2002 I think are probably the optimal Corvettes to have. But as far as a performance value goes, you're getting 350 horsepower out of an LS1 legendary Chevrolet engine in a car that weighs about 3,500 pounds. These cars are typically rated to have a 0 to 60 time right about 5 seconds, maybe slightly under. And in the early 2000s and late 1990s, when this car came out, that was an astronomical number. I mean, that was truly amazing that you could buy a performance car that was able to do that. Now, 20 years later, these cars may not be the fastest cars you can buy anymore. The new performance cars are now pushing past that 3 second 0 to 60 gap, which is quite sizable, really, in terms of automotive performance. But I think the key consideration here is how much do those vehicles cost? We can take example the new C8 Corvette that has an amazing 0 to 60 time and a lot of awesome performance features, highly regarded as a performance value vehicle. And we're looking at, if we could get one at MSRP, around $60,000 for a car that can do that. Well, let's look at the Supra, the new 400Z from Nissan that's coming out, and those cars are also north of $50,000 for performance-oriented models that can beat that 5 second mark. I say that to say the C5 Corvette may not be the fastest car you can buy in the year 2020, 2021, but it still is relevant. It still is a fast car. Not the fastest, but a fast car. And I think that's the point I really want to drive home here. The next point that's really worth mentioning is the price. Because, again, that really helps answer this question of why this car, that's not the fastest car you can buy, is the best performance value that is available. I know the used car market right now, with COVID and all the supply chain disruptions, everything else that's gone on, definitely has inflated some used car prices. I think everybody's familiar with that. But these cars still remain towards the bottom of, I think, how far they're going to depreciate. In the current market, you can pretty easily pick up a C5 Corvette for well under $20,000, and often in between that $10,000 and $15,000 mark. So when we're talking about 5 seconds 0 to 60, 350 horsepower LS1 V8, a fiberglass, fairly lightweight body, 2-seat sports car that you can get for potentially $10,000, that is a steal of a vehicle. The vehicle's power, weight, and acceleration certainly are relevant, as is the 175 miles an hour top speed. Definitely qualifies this vehicle to be called a sports car, I believe, and is suitable for a wide array of people. Whether you enjoy a sporty driving experience, whether you want to hit the drag strip, or anywhere in between, this car really does have you covered. The weight balance of the car is phenomenal, just about 50-50. The transmission and rear end is all in the back. The front end is just the motor with that torque tube design in the center. Very common on a lot of the exotic and very high performance sports cars of the day and even to present. For those of you that don't know, the new NASCAR next generation cars are going to feature a very similar setup. So this is still very relevant and a phenomenal platform that GM has developed for a surprisingly low price. And when speaking of values, we do have to consider the other features of these cars that make them truly phenomenal. And as you can see behind me, one of those features is this large hatch area. So yes, it's a two-seat sports car. There's no rear seat, which a lot of the rear seats in sports cars are not usable by adult humans anyway. But this car definitely has usable space in the back for road trips, for grocery getting, for your day-to-day activities, and that is phenomenal to see in these cars. I had a first generation Porsche Boxster before this, and although it had, by volume, doing the front trunk and the rear trunk, had a decent amount of space, you couldn't put any large objects in it because it would just split up the way it was. This has a large amount of space all in one compartment. It is amazing, and it is very usable. These vehicles have a large aftermarket available for them as well, which makes them quite desirable and quite easy to own. From just replacement parts to aftermarket performance parts, you can really make this car exactly what you want it to be, and it's relatively inexpensive as far as car modifications go, especially the high performance realm is pretty phenomenal. So that is definitely a plus in the name of the C5 Corvette. When speaking about performance, you also have to note the incredible active handling system and stability control that Chevrolet has built into these vehicles. This has, for its time at least, a pretty phenomenal active braking, independent wheel braking system, good traction control system, and different modes, including a performance driving mode built into the car, a fully defeatable traction control system, stability control system. For performance, it's really hard to beat the C5 Corvette. And that's not even the Z06, just the base car. Very hard to beat. When we talk about some more of its features, really shows how advanced this car is and how much you get for your money. All the automatic climate control systems, the heads-up display, the automatic windows, auto locks, all the features that it comes with is pretty amazing. The removable roof on the base car, not the fixed roof coupe or the Z06, is pretty astonishing because it does stiffen up the car a little bit. It is pretty well insulated from noise. There's the glass roof top that you guys have seen that I've used before, and it very quickly comes off and stows in the trunk, so you have it with you, and that gives you a lot of flexibility with the car. The wheel, tire, and brake package they have on these cars is pretty astonishing as well, and you really do get a good performance, a decent ride, but also a good performance setup with really large front rotors, very strong brakes. Most of the vehicles, because of the sizing, have the performance-oriented tread on them, and it really makes for an awesome driving experience. No doubt the car is aerodynamic as well, which definitely attributes to its top speed and its acceleration. And I think most people would agree it's a pretty timeless look that they've gone with the C5, and I think it's held up well up to this point. Some very small modifications and little changes here and there. This thing has no problem blending in. You don't have to just take my word for it. I'll link up here towards the top a interview with Jay Leno talking about his 2003 C5 Corvette, just a base coupe, and what a good deal he thinks it is as well. Truly is a bargain. It's hard to get this much in terms of features and performance for $10,000 to $15,000. It just is. Even going up to the Z06 model from the base, you're talking another $5,000 to $10,000 jump depending on conditions, and you're really not getting a whole lot more. Different heads on the motor and a little bit more of a lightweight package, and that's it. So as far as just pure performance value, for your money, what you can get, I don't know that there's anything out there that can rival the C5 Corvette here in the early 2020s. I know this is a pretty short video. If you guys have owned a C5 Corvette or any Corvette, or you think you've owned a vehicle that is a better performance value, feel free to leave that in the comments. I'd love to hear about it and hear your thoughts. I very much enjoyed my C5 Corvette in the time I've had it. I hope you guys have been enjoying watching it as well and watching it grow. As always, I'm Chris with 4K Motoring. I appreciate you watching. If you hadn't hit that subscribe button already, feel free to do that and hit that like button for this video. Again, leave me some comments. Let me know what you think of the C5 Corvette being a performance value. If you have anything else that you think is a better value, again, I would love to hear it.